Hello, my name is Jason Tomasi, and today will be reviewing the film Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, directed by Jack Smite and starring Lark Ruffin as Casey Logan. The film was made in 1978 based on the book written by Mildred D. Taylor. This film is the first in the four-part Logan family saga. It takes place in the 1930s during the Great Depression in Mississippi and depicts the lives and struggles of African Americans through the Logan family. The story revolves around Cassie and her siblings and their growing awareness of the prejudice in their hometown. Setting plays a huge role in the development of Cassie as a character. It also sets the stage for widespread racial injustice in the South during this time period. Casey's family, home, and the land it sits on is one of the main two settings in the film. It is where the story begins as well as where it ends. Casey's home is part of her history and heritage. It stands for her strong ties to her family, the place where she learns from her mother and her grandmother. It also is a haven from the harsh realities of racism in the South. The home offers a respite from racist Strawberry, Mississippi. It is also a place where Cassie and her siblings can be themselves without fear of violence or intimidation by white people like the Wallaces who want to hurt them and do not like them for simply being a different color from themselves. The second setting is the town of Strawberry. Cassie and her siblings learn the hard truths and grow up when they're in the town. They see injustice, like when Cassie is forced to apologize to Lillian and is tossed onto the road, even though she already apologized to Lillian. Or when Cassie receives old school books with racial slurs and is denied new ones simply because she's not good enough or white enough to get them. These moments spark Cassie's desire to strive for change and to seek justice and equality for Black people in her community. My biggest problem with this film is the number of important scenes that they omitted from the book. In the film, we do not see Mama losing her teaching job because she removed racial slurs from her texts. It was an example of outright oppression against African American people during this time period in the book, but we just do not get to see it in the movie. My biggest uh, problem was the omission of the poem "Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry." The book was basically inspired and titled after that poem, and it's not never mentioned in the film. This title signifies the Logans and Cassie's defiance, their refusal to be intimidated and controlled by people like the Watsons and the Wallaces. And it's like getting a cake and only to find out that the entire center is missing. You're missing a giant chunk of plot. A multitude of scenes were sped up as well, which made for inconsistent pacing and some confusion if you hadn't read the book before. Another major omission from the film was the treatment of Cassie's role. In the book, she was the main character and a major narrator in the book, while in the film, it's her family that's the main focus. The narration from Cassie in the book really helps us watch her character grow in response to the injustice that surrounds her, as well as it helps give a helps give us perspective from Cassie and how she views these different scenarios and different kinds of racial injustice that she's seeing. Well, this removal just makes her more forgettable and really removes a lot of that character development and perspective that we can't see because it's told more from a third person perspective instead of through a specific perspective, like in the book it's Cassie's. Overall, I felt that the film could have been much, much better. With the omission of important scenes, the film seems cluttered and confusing. On the positive side, Lark Ruffin really brought out Casey and brought her to life. The distinction, as well as the distinction between the home setting as well as the town setting, worked out really well in the film, in my opinion. Movies like this are especially important today to watch today as we face the racial reckoning here in America. It is an important positive representation of Black girlhood and feminism as Casey strives for change in our community and disrupts several different stereotypes surrounding Black girlhood. She argues with Lillian Jean and she fights for decent textbooks, which was stepping up for herself during that time period, which really wasn't normal for people, for or stereotypical, I guess, for people like Cassie to stand up for themselves in that kind of racial South. In the book, she's even stronger, such as when she even goes as far as fighting Lillian Jean after being her lackey for a few weeks, which we get to see in the book, but that's just another part that's omitted from the film. Instead of being passively accepting the injustices from white society, Cassie stands up for herself and she has agency. She's willing to fight in order to see her ideals made into a reality. While I would give the film adaptation a 3-star rating due to the omissions and pacing, I highly recommend the book, which is an enduring classic.